Alright, this is lesson 25, mixed numbers and fractions on a number line. This lesson kind of connects back to lesson 2 where we had to draw and learn about number lines. So as you can see on the board, I have drawn 3 number lines. The first one is a really basic one, 1, 2, 3, and in between each whole number I have 1 tick mark and 2 line segments. Let's review that. Remember this? Each dash that goes down is a tick mark, and each space in between each tick mark is a unit segment. Okay? So from 1 to 2, there are 2 unit segments. Okay? That's going to become key later. So if there's 2 unit segments in between, and I have a little tick mark in the middle of 1 and 2, what would you call that mark? What is the value of this space right in the middle of 1 and 2? Okay? It's 1.5, right? Here's a hole. Here's 2 holes. In between would be 1.5. So it's labeled like this, a mixed fraction, a whole with a fraction. That's 1.5. Same for over here. Here's 2. Halfway across to 3 would be 2.5. Now if you could do that same principle on the top one and apply it to all the others, then you would have no problem finding fractional parts of a number line or mixed numbers on a number line. And that's a method that you need to use in all of your math. If you could do a most basic, simple version of a problem, you could apply that same method to a more complicated problem, and you'll be able to solve it. Okay? And I will practice and show that to you all year because that is how I've been successful at any math test I've taken. I want to show you what pattern is going on that top one and apply it to the second number line. Okay? Now, the first one was 1.5, right? Now, it was probably easy for you to just think, oh, it's in the middle. In the middle of 1 and 2 is a half. Good. If you could think of that, that's excellent. Now, why is there a 1 here and a 2 on the bottom and a whole 1 here? Okay? There's a whole 1 because we've passed the 1. It's not a 2 because we haven't got to the 2 yet. So that's where the 1 comes in. Okay? So if I want to know about this dot right here, here's 3, here's 4. This is the dot I want to know. I'm past the 3, but I'm not at the 4 yet. So this is 3 and something. Okay? It's a little bigger than 3, so we'll put 3. Just like we learned from up here. Okay? Now what about the 1? How did they pick a 1 on the top? The 1 is how many hops it took to get to that dot. So this, I'm starting at 1. I want to get to here. 1 hop. So you just put a 1 on the top of your fraction. How many hops would it take to get to this dot? 1, 2. It took 2 hops. So 2 is the numerator on our fraction. Okay? Kind of interrupting a little fraction bar. Now the bottom number, try to guess. How could you get 2 on the denominator for this top one? Do you see the pattern? It takes 2 hops to get across the whole number. Okay? So I went 1 hop out of the 2. 1 out of 2. Right? 1 out of 2 is written as a fraction, 1 over 2. Okay? If you had 5 out of 6 of the class were girls, 5 over 6 is your fraction of girls. So it works the same here. This one went 3 hops out of, or 2 hops out of how many? 3 would get you across. So this is 3 and 2/3. 3 and 2/3. Okay? Let's try it again. This one is actually part of your homework. Which dot is that? You have to find this spot right here, and it's called B, and it's number 2. Okay? So here's a 5, and here's a 6. So this is 5 and something. 5 and something. It's part way across. 5 and 1, 2. 2 hops out of 3. That would get us across. So it's 5 and 2/3. Okay? Let's try number 3, which is C. Find this guy right here. Okay? We call it C. So find C. Now here's 0, and here's 1. It hasn't even made it to 1 yet. So it hasn't even become a whole. So there won't be any number in the front. Okay? There won't be a 0, there's nothing. You just leave it alone and say that it's part way across because it's just a fraction of the way. Okay? So there's nothing in front, but how many hops did it take to get there? 1, 2, 3. 3 segments over, out of how many that would make a whole? 4, 5. So it's 3/5 of the way across. Now, just for fun, I don't think it's required, but let's say we wanted to find this one. Okay. Now we have a 1 and a 2, but it's not at the 2 just yet. So it's 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4 fifths of the way across. Right? This is just the basic form of finding a mixed number. You're going to do a lot with mixed numbers and fractions as the class continues. So if you have any questions at this basic form, make sure you get it cleared with me, and I'll be able to help you with whatever you need.